You're on mute, I think, Ammar, are you?
I don't think so. Can you not hear me?
I can't now. Yeah, good morning.
Oh, good morning. Yeah. Gosh, it's cold out there, Jeff.
It is cold. I'm sat in a very cold restaurant. I'm saving some heat and electricity. So I thought I'd just put the scarf on and got the hoodie on.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah. Happy Friday. Second last Friday of the month. 20th of January.
Yep.
It's crazy.
20 days have just flown by as we kind of predicted that they would.
11 days left in this month. And anyway, good morning. Let me just hit some buttons and see what happens and push some things here for the benefit of our viewers in particular. But let's equally, I can share. I thought I couldn't for a second. And I'll push that. Anyway, good morning, listeners. You're listening to Ammar and
Jalf.
Live on our weekly radio show right here on Spice FM.
And each week we bring some views, news, and one or two clues from the business world.
Asian Business Connections aims to connect, support, and promote the Asian and wider communities.
And you'll be talking shop quite literally, not just corner shops where they look to start a business, have an existing business, or you just want to talk business. We can help.
We can help. We can help. And we do help. Jeff, that picture of you looks like from a sort of 70s Bollywood movie type thing. Is that where it's from?
Yeah, I think that was a launch of Kai Kai, I think, actually.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. You look a bit different.
Yeah, I probably look, I don't know. It's not the best picture really, is it? The thing is angles, isn't it, that make you look good or bad sometimes.
Yeah, I've got an angle as in from a photographic perspective. And it's funny how sensitive we are to ourselves and different angles. But yeah, there's a number of angles that I don't particularly like.
I think it definitely makes a difference. I think I've learned a couple of things without just when you look at, I guess, celebrities, if you ever get a chance to take a picture with someone who's in the limelight, they do a few things when they pause, like, pop their shoulder up, lift their neck forward. I think that all gets rid of the double chin at the bottom and this, that, and the other. So there's a few techniques.
Like a chicken.
There's a few techniques like that, which I'm sure there are. You were doing a course at some point, weren't you, Ammar? About how to how to develop yourself as a person in terms of the modeling course that you had, that you looked at all those years ago.
I did.
I'm sure there are.
Can you not tell?
Well, yeah, of course. I think you use those techniques. That's where you look far better than me photographs.
I don't know about that. Yeah, but in real life, it's almost like that catfish, or is that catfish? Is it called catfish, or what's it called? What's that program called? There's an American program, something fish.
Okay.
Fish for jobs. I don't know. Any fish, some fish, big fish. Anyway, there's an American program where I believe it's about online people and who either have pictures of somebody else and pretend to be that person, or they have pictures of themselves which look distinctly different, photoshopped and everything else to what they really look like. Anyway, I don't know what it is, but there's an interesting program. So yeah, the big difference is, I don't believe I do, but in real life, you're far more attractive than I, Jeff. You are like a bit like a movie star. I think you could be in a movie, as that you could be. Anyway, let's go back to sharing. Restaurant week, it's been this week, Jeff?
Oof. Yeah, it's been unbelievable. My goodness, the demand for Restaurant Week is absolutely off the scales. I think it's just a great thing, great initiative that anyone have taken all those years ago, and it's into the, I think it's the 12th year now, and it's just grown every year. But I think the whole of Newcastle must come out for Restaurant Week because it's been incredibly busy across the board.
Yeah, I noticed that we had and it was interesting. Sorry, my computer started talking about something. And it was interesting that we last minute were having a bit of a function, and we didn't know where to have it.
Okay.
In March, and we wanted to have a look around. Anyway, we ended up going to Avika, and we went there on Wednesday night. Wednesday time with the kids. Interestingly, we were the only one with the kids, but we went there, and it was so busy. But it was nice to see such a broad selection of people eating there. From sort of, there was sort of an Asian family with the butta and things like that. It was like, anyway, and but it was primarily young people. I imagine, and whether they are, they're not, but it feels as if a lot of young female student, as in sort of we're eating out and things like that. I imagine because they don't necessarily get the chance. But I mean, the price of the food was incredible. It was like 2 courses for whatever it was, or 3 courses for that, and the 4 of us ate. It was 2 courses for the kids, which was like £8 or something like that. I don't think you'd get that in McDonald's. I think if you buy 2 Happy Meals, it's more than that now. So no, it was great. It was great, and you're right. It's a great initiative. It sort of helps address some of those potential challenges that restaurants experience. But no, good. So when does that come to an end?
It comes to an end on Sunday. I think a lot of operators are not doing it on a Friday night and a Saturday night. So it's on probably. You'll find it available today lunch, tomorrow lunch, and on Sunday lunch and dinner, and that concludes it. And that takes us through really into the final week of January, which is usually okay because it's the first 3 weeks after. Obviously, the public have spent all that money on Christmas gifts, gone out a lot. They use January traditionally to detox in some ways and recover and save a few pennies. So I think this initiative obviously aids that that period, and it kind of takes us through to the back end of January, which is brilliant.
Right. Good. I'm glad it does. And as you say, it's a great initiative, and it's good, and it's our hospitality sector need some of that volume-based activity to see them through this month and the broader, wider challenges. More relevantly, in regards to the headlines, sadly, British Vault. So it was interesting. I'd met with the managing director of British Vault a couple of years back. We'd done a session with him. Are you familiar with British Vault, Jalf?
No, I'm not.
So it was this giga factory where they were going to make like incredible amount of batteries, and up in Ashington way, and that was potentially going to employ thousands of people and all of that. And basically, it's collapsed into administration.
Okay.
So,
and what was the reason for that? Is it
a variety of things, like funding primarily. I think part of it was government funding, because I think the government had indicated they were going to put £100 million in and such like, but there are probably a variety of factors that, if I'm to be honest, I'm not 100% sure of. Let's just have a quick look at the detail here if we can get it. But in essence, the leader of Northumberland Council and along with local figures of authority has expressed great disappointment at news that car battery British Malt has gone into administration, but says remains hopeful for the future. The huge site near Convoy was earmarked for a gigafactory producing a new generation of electric car batteries and was set to provide 3,000 jobs and such like. It's yeah, very, very challenging, and it's such a shame. So that was that. Single-use plastics, Jeff, in takeaways. Getting banned from October.
The banned?
Yeah.
Okay, so so what does that mean, Ammar? Is it like the plastic bags and stuff, or?
So a ban on some single-use plastics will come into force in England from October, the government has announced. To tackle the growing plastic problem, takeaways, restaurants and cafes must stop using single-use plastic cutlery, plates and bowls, and plastic containers. So it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Especially if
all that's going to happen is, obviously, it's not really up to the takeaway operators to stop using them, because what will happen is the supply chain is just going to stop. So you're not going to be able to use them anyway. So the supply chain will stop, and then we're going to be left with using whatever they're going to replace that with. And when those big companies, they come up with a replacement, they're just going to put a huge premium on that particular product, and the packaging cost for every single takeaway in the land is going to skyrocket again. And that's all that's going to happen. I'm not sure. So, Ammar, what's it to ultimately achieve by banning single-use plastics? Is there a goal in mind?
Yeah, so there's this perception. So don't forget that plastics come. There's a number of considerations in regards to plastics, i.e. they're a petroleum-based, oil-based product. So you use oil to make plastics, so fossil fuels, and then on the other end, and more significantly, regardless of climate and such like, the very fact that plastic pollutes our oceans and really affects the environment we live in, and it genuinely does. It's a case of, well, let's see what we can do. But are you pushing the problem somewhere else? And that's exactly the point that you've just made there.
I mean, I'm all for looking to save genuine issues with the environment. Absolutely. But my concerns are that Britain as a nation, we're such a small country in the scale of things. It's a country of 60 million people, and we've got 7 or 8 billion people in the world. And the UK is contributing to what percentage of plastics that's damaging to the rest of the planet, and we're getting imposed of all of these changes in regulations, so-called green regulations, for us to contribute towards saving the world effectively. But it kind of goes to vain if the other bigger countries are not following kind of the similar path.
Well, I can see that.
Can't do this and A, B, C, and D. To what end and what benefit? And
yeah, but I think the contradictory consideration, or the converse of what you've just said there, is that if that was the view that everybody took, then no one would be doing something. So I think it's more important that we do something, rather than sort of sit back and say, well, India or China or even America and things like that are doing something.
I totally understand, Ammar. I just feel that some of the things that they are doing, when you talk about the bigger picture, not just getting rid of plastics, but the bigger picture, I think it's pretty worrying in many ways, because I don't know if what you've heard in what they're doing in Oxford to try and save the environment. They're creating 15-minute zones. You can't go from zone 1 to zone 2. I mean, it's like imprisoning people.
You can't. What? Say that again.
You can't go in Oxford. They've created different zones in the city. So Gosforth is a zone, Jesmond is a zone, the city centre is a zone, Darras Hall is a zone, and you're not allowed to go from one zone to the other, and you have to be within your zone in 15 minutes. If you go to another zone, you have to come back. There's something really crazy like that the council actually.
What? As in driving or walking or
it's
what?
driving. So you can't drive from one to another. So if you've got a sick member of your family living in a different zone, there's some like crazy restriction to it, and it's all in the I mean, officially, it's to save the net zero, this, that, and the other. So there is so much nonsense out there when it comes to this net zero stuff. It makes me question a lot of the things that we should genuinely be doing, because it needs to be kind of, we've had these discussions of mine in the past, the what do you call the things that they have that go around the wind turbine things? I mean, the cost of a wind turbine and all the cost of getting all the raw materials and the damage you have to do to the environment to get all of the raw materials to make the wind turbine in the first place. And then you consider the benefits of that and how much wind or how much energy you actually gain from it. Are all of those calculations done correctly, or is it done by particular companies who's getting millions of pounds of funding by saying that, yes, this is the next best thing, and getting millions?
I mean, the climate change conversation is undoubtedly very controversial and arguably questionable to some extent. All of that said, there's some merit in sort of some of the things that are being considered. I mean, I'll be very, very open around electric vehicles, and I was talking to someone who was actually a trader, a car dealer, and they sell electric car vehicles, and he got one sort of his delivered earlier this week, and he sort of said, the wife said to me, let's go to London, and I was like, I can't drive to London in the electric car because sadly, number of factors, infrastructure isn't there. So there's just simply not enough electric charging points available, and where they are, the likelihood is someone's plugged into them. And the fact that it can, to get a full charge on a vehicle, they anticipate that to be overnight. You're not going to drive like to London and on the way there say, oh, well, I've got to stop overnight to charge my car. And that's on the basis of there is a charger is one thing. So structure and infrastructure just simply doesn't exist. Secondly, sadly, and this is a huge contributing factor, the environmental impact of creating the batteries and creating these electric cars is currently, as we speak, far more significant than the creation of petrol and diesel cars. Diesels are understandably the worst from an emission perspective. Catalytic converters and things like that, they reduce that, but they don't take it away fully. For me, at this moment in time, and this is purely personal view, I'm not a scientist, and very happy and welcome anybody sort of, coming on and sort of sharing with us why my views may not be as accurate as I believe them to be. But for me, I drive a petrol car, it's cheap, it's efficient, and I can get it everywhere, and it does a good enough job, and it isn't as detrimental as alternative vehicles, i.e. diesel cars. And it's relatively new, so therefore it's not an age-old, so from a, it has all the technology to make it slightly more efficient as well.
And along with that, you can feel the roar of your engine.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not why it's just I've got a 500cc is what I've got. But anyway, on that note, yeah. And then other headline, Jalf, is Newcastle United 1-0 versus Fulham. What a controversial game. Sadly, we had left before.
How can me? You left early. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You can't leave the game early. I mean, surely they can't be so desperate. I mean, I understand it's nice that they get away if you're in a rush, but honestly, you can't leave. You can't leave early.
Well, I did. Okay, but I'm just telling you, I did. But the point was up until the point that we'd left, we'd experienced all of that controversy with the penalty. That was funny. And it's interesting, right? Because it's like, obviously sat in the stands is so different to watching something on the telly, isn't it? Because you see what's going on the telly. Like, it's so hard to decipher or understand, when the penalty VAR thing came up on the screen, I was saying to Yusuf, I'm going, oh, this is great. He's going, God, it's for the other side. Because obviously they were at that point, they were at the other end. And I was
they were at our end, weren't they?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, well, this is a penalty for us. And he's just like, no, Dad, it's not. But it was, and then Pope getting a yellow card. I mean, he's very, very emotive, isn't he? Is our Nick Pope is the thing. But that was a great result for us. I must admit.
Oh, it was brilliant.
I didn't think we played okay, but the finish is just like ridiculous. We miss so many sitters. We should be winning sort of 3-4-5-0.
Oh, that's the thing, Ammar. I think Sean Longstaff, he's been playing brilliantly, but he's missed some absolute sitters in the last few games, and he's missed 3 or 4 stonewalled kind of chances that he should have put in the back of the net. But I thought that we were by far the superior team. I didn't really think it was controversial because the penalty, they got it wrong on the match day analysis, because they should have given the first one as a penalty, not the one that they gave, because clearly the defender actually stamped on Trippier's leg, not the other way around. And I can't believe the referee goes to the screen and he interprets that as a free kick to them when their player actually stamped on Kieran Trippier. And Trippier was telling him all constantly, look, he stamped on my foot. But the referee, I mean, for whatever reason, he decided to give that one as a penalty and not the one before that where Dan Burn pulled the player down onto the floor. And what was brilliant was Mitrovic, a former player of ours, who we don't have any grievances with because he was a nice lad. He did a great job for us. But Mike Ashley sold him to Fulham for like 30 or 40 million pounds at the time, which was good business, but we were sad to see him go. He obviously kicked the ball twice. He slipped. It came off one foot to the other foot, went in the back of the net. We heard 2 noises and we knew that something was wrong. And then we quickly realized, yes, it was 2 touches and the penalty was rightfully ruled out. And then obviously we go to the other end in the 89th minute and we score the winner. And it was a well-deserved winner, but we did kind of keep at it. And eventually we got the win, which was brilliant because keeps us up in the mix for that top 4 position. And hopefully we've got every single game is challenging, but if we can do the job on Crystal Palace on Saturday, and Man City did us a favour last night by beating Tottenham 4-2, because now we've got a 5-point gap between ourselves and Tottenham, who's a team in 4th position, and a game in hand. So if we can win that game in hand, it will give us an 8-point buffer, Ammar. Imagine an 8-point buffer.
So are we playing away this weekend then?
We're playing Crystal Palace 5:30 Saturday. away. It's a live match on Sky, so we'll be able to watch that at home. And then the following match after that is the one on Tuesday, which is against Southampton away, first leg of the Carabao Cup. And then we come to the following Saturday, a week tomorrow, we play West Ham at home. And then again, 3 days later on the Tuesday, it's a second leg, 31st of January, the second leg against Southampton. And what's been interesting, Ammar, I don't know if you've managed to speak to the fans around you in the stadium, but so many people have already booked train tickets and hotels for the Carabao Cup final, which is on the 26th of February.
Yeah. No, as in I got loads of calls, and I was like, all right, yeah. And actually, we would have been there. I was booking up a couple of weeks back, but it's half term and we're not around. So I was so upset because I would love to take Yusuf to the to a final at Wembley.
Yeah,
that would just be amazing.
It'd be incredible. It'd be incredible. But I mean, the train tickets, Ammar, they've just skyrocketed the prices. I mean, it's like £178 one way or something. It's crazy. You can't even get tickets in the 20.
That's what they do. That's exactly what they do. It's
hopefully we kind of continue in the vein that we are. And I think we've lost Chris Wood to Nottingham Forest. And the thing is, with these particular owners, you kind of think that, okay, we've lost Chris Wood. He's a striker. You must have something up your sleeve, because the way that they've managed the transfer window and the transfers has been brilliant. So we're hoping for a really nice surprise within the next 10 days, because the transfer window closes on the 31st. And hopefully we'll get a real nice surprise and get one or two really exciting players that is going to add to the team and make that, few percent difference to really keep us in that top 4 position.
I think so.
And just, those our listeners that aren't aware of the significance of a top 4 position, that means if we can stay in the top 4 position, it means that we enter into the Champions League competition. And the Champions League is the most premier tournament in the world. It's second only to the World Cup. So if you can get into the Champions League, and imagine you get X amount of games in the tournament. I mean, on the Wednesday nights or Tuesday nights, if you could have the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona coming to Newcastle. I mean, imagine the benefits of that to the city. And if we were to get into Champions League, Ammar, the significance also is the players that you can attract in the summer transfer window will be some of the best, very, very best in the world, because that's all they want to do is play in Champions League.
Well, I think it'll be so exciting, is the thing. So, yeah, anyway, it's great to see Newcastle doing so well. I'm certainly looking forward to that Southampton game in a week on Tuesday. And then I think I can't remember, because we're not attending any of the next few games, which must be, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, it's wonderful to see Newcastle, and regardless of how we got there, the fact that we have got there is the most important thing. Business topic of the week, we've got we've got, just to remind all of our viewers and listeners, we've got Michael coming on from this morning. Michael from Bruin Dolphin, great supporter of Asian Business Connections, an all-round good guy, coming to talk about finance and financial support. And actually, the business topic of the week is financial well-being, Jalf. So it refers to a state of being where an individual or organization has enough financial resources to meet their current and future needs, and is able to effectively manage those resources to maintain that state. This could include having control over one's finances, being able to handle unexpected expenses, for example, an increased mortgage rate or loan rate, being able to save for the future, and importantly, having a sense of financial security. Whether you are an individual, small business owner, or the CEO of a billion-dollar multinational company, ensuring that you have a sense of financial well-being is extremely important. not only can it lower your stress levels and so help increase productivity, but it helps you set work towards and achieve long-term goals. Here are some of our top tips to establish or maintain your financial well-being. So number one, keep track of your expenses and income. So income and expenditure, keeping an accurate record of what and where you spend money and how much you earn, and from where is the best way to identify places where you can cut back or opportunities to exploit. Number two, ensure you understand your tax responsibilities and are up to date with any changes. With the deadline for self-assessment coming up on the 31st of January, make sure you set aside some time to prepare and submit this if you haven't already done so. Number three, consider professional advice. So get some proper advice. You can't always do everything yourself, and a qualified professional will be able to support you and give you peace of mind. Plan for the future. Whatever your goals are, worldwide scaling of your business or a nice retirement in Spain, planning for them early will help you achieve them. A growing business will require increased costs as you take on staff, expand your office space, or increase your marketing spend. All of this must be financed, and having a plan in place will help you feel secure in your goals. You could use the Moscow prioritization tool to plan what you should do. Don't forget, we made reference to that last week. And build up an emergency fund. You can't predict another pandemic lockdown or burst pipe in the toilet, so ensuring that you have an emergency fund to cover you when the unexpected happens can be a relief. You might want to consider reviewing your business model to make sure that it is resilient and can withstand the unexpected. To find out more about business model innovation, contact Yola.
Excellent.
Yeah, so financial well-being, Jeff.
Well, Ammar, that's the be-all and end-all of business, really, and for everyone to get an understanding of how to manage your finances, especially in such a volatile climate. Interest rates, we don't know what's going to happen with that, and A, B, C, and D. So working with financial experts and getting as much knowledge and sponging as much knowledge from them is so important to your business planning and the well-being of your business. It's all about the finances. It's the most important part of business.
No, without a doubt, without a doubt. And yourself, it's the one thing that really particularly stresses everyone out. We had a curry club last night, Jeff, here. We missed you again.
Yeah.
And
Thursday evenings is just so challenging for me to even move, get out of anywhere. I'm locked in somewhere. But how did it go, Ammar? Was it good?
No, it was really good. It was really good. Great turnout. Sort of sold out. Well, not that anyone pays to come, but no, it was a really, given the time of year, the weather, and everything else, and it was fun. We purposefully changed the approach a little bit so that everyone that came along was given a minute to stand up and talk about themselves and what they do and why they do it, which is something that we don't normally do. And then we had too much curry and food, so everyone sort of had, it was like very much a feast, but it was nice. We had people join us who were studying from India. They were studying at Newcastle universities, or senior significant people, people delivering accelerator programs, and then a range of people that we hadn't seen, friends and very close individuals had come along. So Ahmed was there, Sahil Khan from Kia, drove up from Stockton just to be here, and there was sort of 50-50 split of new people and regular people, which makes it really good. And Doc Allen and the usual supporters were all there. But no, it was really good. It was really nice. And everyone just sort of really said that they appreciated the type of environment and the vibe that we had in the room. So that was good.
Excellent. Excellent.
then I suppose from a more broader, wider perspective, Jalf, it's interesting to see politically there was sort of levelling up fund announced yesterday, and some of the challenges that people highlighted or noticed were the number of applications that had been made for levelling up funding.
Well, what does that mean, levelling up fund?
So basically, the government launched this levelling up. So it was Boris Johnson had come up with, there's certain places and spaces within the UK that are far better and do far better than others. So there's deprivation, there's poverty, there's all of these key factors. Northeast has historically been a very deprived area. I mean, in our view, because we're very positive and we see the positives, there's lots of positive things that go on here, and you can't argue that on one hand statistics skew the real position, but in effect, for example, some of the most deprived areas where there's sort of people aren't working, there's high health inequalities, people are very, very poor, or they're having to work 2-3 jobs just to keep the lights on at home. There's single parents, there's 4th-5th generation of unemployment, and all of that. And the idea for the fund is very much a one that it is meant to invest in initiatives that help bring the tackle things like the north-south divide, right? So the south is clearly far better off than the north. So how do we address that? So a department was created purposefully to do that, and part of that was looking at how do we sort of provide equality. So it's not about leveling down, it's about bringing those areas that need support and give them that support to grow. And I believe there was meant to be quite a significant amount of funding coming to the northeast and various other places. And I don't know whether the northeast got. And when I talk about the northeast, I'm not talking about Tees Valley. I'm talking about sort of Durham North. So I'm just having a look to see there is some actually. I need to be corrected. There is some activity according to this in the northeast. I'm just looking at here. So in but Wales has done really well, but the argument was all of the money's gone to conservative-led type of, certainly that's what the news suggests, is that wherever there's conservative-led councils or other places and spaces that are where it's primarily conservative, they have secured some money. So it looks like so the northeast got very little. There was some money towards transport for the northeast and Northumberland, and other than that, there wasn't anything for our area.
Not to bridge the gap between north and south, was that not the whole purpose of this particular?
Yes,
the idea behind the funding.
Yeah.
But the Northeast doesn't get as much as what they really should have got effectively.
Yeah, as in, I mean, see, the one thing, regardless of your views about European funding and such like, because of the real measurements of, deprivation, poverty, all of that, funding was allocated on how poor an area was, or how compared to other areas, and that was across the whole of Europe and places like that. So consequently, the Northeast was used to do significantly well from European funding. Sadly, because European funding doesn't exist, we now aren't doing anywhere near, don't have the funding, won't have the support, and it's going to potentially affect us far more significantly. There are things that are available, but nowhere near what European funding existed. Anyway, I believe Michael will be joining us in a minute. So our special guest, Michael Rankin, who has been a very long-term critical supporter of Asian Business Connections. He's an investment manager for Brewin Dolphin in Newcastle, managing the investment portfolio of prime clients and families from the Teesside region, and has been divisional director at RBC Brewin Dolphin as well. So good morning, Michael. Welcome to Show Business.
Good morning. Hello, Ammar. Hello, Jalf. How are you?
Hello, Michael. How you doing?
I'm very well. Yes, very well.
Good.
Sorry that I missed the Curry Club last night, but I had a great night. Some of your listeners might have been along at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House. Gus Kahn was appearing. It was a fantastic night.
Was it? So tell us about that. Tell us about that, Michael.
Well, you might know him. He's got a TV show. I think it's coming back on actually. A Man Like My Bean. And he was along. Actually, it was the first time I'd been to that venue. Absolutely fantastic. If you haven't been to the Tyne Theatre and Opera House, get along, see one of the acts. They have a lot of comedians on there. Great venue. And the audience were fantastic. Just had such a super night.
That's on the Westgate Road, isn't it?
It is indeed, yes, absolutely.
So we go there every New Year's Eve for our panto is what we do, Michael, and then they have a range of different, as you say, shows and acts and things like that. It's good, and we enjoy it. It's got a distinctly different vibe to the more, would I say affluent? Yeah, probably affluent Theatre Royal. Obviously, yes. The name somewhat gives it away, doesn't it? Is what it does, but yes, it's a great place. And tell us a little bit more, because I'm not familiar with that comedian, Michael. Who is he? I
don't know whether I can give you a huge kind of backlog of his work, but he's obviously been around a little bit. I think he comes from the Coventry area, right. And he's on a tour at the moment. And I think we were the third city that he was visiting. And he was on with another comedian, and the first comedian that was on, the interaction with the room, it was so funny. He had this thing where everybody seems to be shouting out and not necessarily telling all the truth, and it was just hilarious. Right. Definitely worth a watch. But yeah, I think he's coming back onto the television as well. Right. So keep an eye open for that.
Great. No, we certainly will. So anyway, tell us who you are, what you do, why you do it, Michael.
Absolutely, yes. So my name is Michael Rankin. I work for RBC Brewin Dolphin. I've been there for quite some time now. And our remit really is just to help people manage their money and try and make things a little bit simpler. So that could be individuals, it could be companies, trusts, charities. Anybody who is looking for a bit of advice, we hopefully step in and fill the breach in terms of, helping people, manage their money, grow their money, and secure their future.
Great stuff. And why do you do it?
Well, I've been doing it, as I say, quite a while. It's 22 years, and I think it's a fantastic privilege to be brought into an inner circle when you talking to somebody about their finances. It's a very personal subject. It's not something that you normally share, particularly at the dinner table. And to be able to help and see the help through the years. We've got clients who have been clients, their entire lives. They run alongside the advisor for many, many years, 20, 30, 40 years. And quite often we see that pass on to the next generation and continue the journey with them.
Fantastic. I think your observation is that it is quite personal. It's sort of financial and legal are probably those things that are really, really, I feel as if they're sensitive. And interestingly, our topic this morning was financial well-being, Michael, and tell us a little bit more of, and I appreciate you can't give financial advice in this sort of way because you're highly regulated and such like, but you can certainly talk generically and with the caveat of, if you need professional advice, then you need to talk to a professional on a direct one-to-one basis. But financial well-being, it feels as if it's a bit of a challenging time. Does it need to be?
Well, I think there are certainly going to be people facing very, very challenging times at the moment. There's no doubt about it. I was listening in when you were giving the top 10 kind of advice for financial well-being, and of course that's true for companies as well as individuals. We are all going to be facing increased costs, but I think what we are seeing very much is that there's plenty of people who are lucky enough to escape the day-to-day issues that brings compared to others who unfortunately really struggling. And the same is absolutely true of companies. Companies that are lucky enough to be able to pass on those cost increases are going to be facing a very, very different experience to those who are struggling. And we see that both in the kind of the smaller local business market as well as the large international companies. So it really is about trying to get a handle, as you said, understanding your outgoings as much as what you're getting in, and being able to try and balance those books.
And how would you, because one of the advice, bits of advice we'd sort of ask people to consider, which is something that we all don't do, is having that professional conversation. How important would you say that is, Michael?
Well, it can be vital. I mean, I think, the idea is not to leave it too long, because, you want to be able to do it when you have the flexibility to be able to maybe implement some changes early on. As I say, so a lot of companies are lucky enough where they are perhaps going into this in a strong financial position. And one of the things that people may not be aware of is the ability to actually invest within a business. So, if you built up cash over many, many years within that business, well, clearly it's going to give you a fantastic buffer to make it through the difficult times. But likewise, rather than being taxed significantly to take it out, you can leave it in, but do something slightly better than just sitting, on a cash deposit account. So there is the ability to actually invest, just like an individual, into a portfolio, diverse portfolio of stock and shares, and be able to do something slightly different than holding the cash. But if you are facing difficulties, then yes, it's time to bring in professional help, to speak to individuals that you feel that can help, and try and improve the situation now rather than leaving it too long.
No, thank you for that. And obviously it's really natural for us to focus on that extreme of people, not doing so well and whatever else. I particularly like your sort of observation or suggestion that companies, so all too often we look at how much cash we're that as individuals, but as a company, Jalf, I don't know if you have any questions or queries around this, but that's an interesting sort of approach, isn't it? Where they're touch wood, or fortunately there is cash in the business. You can, I suppose that's not something that I've certainly thought about in the past, is how might that company, sort of invest from an investment perspective? Is that something that you thought about, Jack?
I have done, but again, I've thought about it, but I think it probably would involve a conversation with the experts similar to Michael to really get a better grasp of how to go about doing it and where the best return is going to be, because obviously you would want to invest it responsibly in the right positions, and you would want it somewhere where there is a return from it. So it's something that I've thought about, but I haven't really explored in detail more. But maybe we need to catch up with Michael one day, the both of us, and have lunch and have those discussions.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll be in a very similar position where your focus is on the business, on the day-to-day, doing what you are so good at doing. And you can be forgiven for leaving some of the other things to one side, thinking, I know where my priorities are. This is what I'm going to concentrate on. And the other things might just get, maybe slightly ignored. But in terms of investing, it's no different to an individual. It is about understanding what the level of risk appetite is, the objectives, the sort of returns you're looking for. And what we do at RBC Brewin Dolphin is always about trying to match what we're doing with the portfolio to what the individuals and the companies are wanting to achieve, so that we're kind of both going down the road at this, together to end up in the same place with the same goals.
Yeah, I think we need to organise a little lunch with Michael and maybe revisit that.
Well, absolutely. I understand this. You have a couple of nice establishments that might be able to sort out a decent lunch.
Yeah.
Or dinner, or whatever that is. Yeah, absolutely. Michael, just I know we sort of allocate purposefully now. We slot in 10 minutes for our guest speaker, but just why Brewin Dolphin? Why RBC? So I'm sat there as an investor. I've got money. I've got different portfolio. I've created some wealth. I now need to seek some professional advice. Why should someone come to you? And more, well, I can tell them that, but anyway, why RBC? Why Brewin Dolphin?
Yeah, okay. Well, I think like so many businesses, it's very much a people business. So it's about being with somebody that you trust. Now, I'm really fortunate to have, the size and scale of RBC Brewin Dolphin behind me. We offer such a vast range of different services, going from the financial planning for individual needs all the way down to what I do, which is the investment management side of things. I don't think I can sit here and say that, we're the only kind of person on the block doing this. It's about finding somebody that you can talk to, that you feel listens and understands what you need, and having that relationship with the individual. So I would just urge, all your listeners really to find somebody like that. And certainly, we'd be delighted if you included RBC Brewin Dolphin in that thought process, invite us along, have a chat, have a lunch, have a coffee, and take it from there.
No, great. And I absolutely agree from that simplified response. But I was also highlighting the fact that RBC is one of the biggest organizations globally operating, so it's highly credible. Brewin Dolphin has been around for a very, 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 very long time. So my point being is, for someone who's never heard of RBC Brewin Dolphin, they might be sat there going, "Oh, is this like a new company that hasn't got any experience, and Michael's just a really nice guy, but actually I'm looking for a credible organization." What would you say to them?
Well, Brewin Dolphin has been around in the UK for over 250 years, believe it or not. Royal Bank of Canada, which is RBC, the size of that company, really adds, a scale and stability to what was already one of the largest wealth management companies in the UK. So there's no doubt about it when it comes to security scale, we have it at RBC Brewin Dolphin. But I do honestly believe that isn't all that matters. It really does come down to the individual to be able to pick up the telephone, know that I'm on the other end of that, and be able to have that conduit into a successful company like RBC Brew and Dolphin, rather than feeling that you're just a number on a sheet and no kind of personal connection with the company that you're dealing with.
Great stuff. No, thank you for that, Michael. Thank you ever so much for coming on the show. How does someone get in touch with you?
I think the best way to do it, as usual with everything, is just Google us. So RBC Brew and Dolphin Newcastle. You'll find the details for the office, and please do get in touch. Ring me, email me. I'm happy to meet and speak with anybody at any time.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Michael, and we'll catch up separately for lunch with Jalf and myself, and all the very best.
Fantastic. Thank you for having me on.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jalf.
Bye.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, we're coming up to the end of the show now, and that was Michael. Please do reach out to Michael. He is genuinely a good guy. It's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And we're going to get cut off abruptly. We never get a chance to say goodbye, so I'm doing it, waiting for this chop at whatever time it is. We'll be back next week with another special guest and another special show, with another special win, even from Newcastle United.
By the community. Spice FM, 98.8 FM.
Defence ministers and